So Jimmy Kimmel was doing it. He was doing it too.
Yeah, he was doing it too.
Yeah. No, he was being accused of joking about it too.
So they were upset at him, even though he was attacking the appropriate person. He was doing it in a manner which is also construed as being transphobic. Like they were saying that his tweet is transphobic. He's a comic.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, he used to host the Man Show. I mean, he's done some pretty outrageous shit back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, for hee-hees and haw-haws.
No, that's a good joke on top of a good joke.
Yeah, it's a good joke. Funny thing to say. He's had a real problem with Elon from the beginning of this thing, but it's like he's in this leftist thought bubble. He is in the most leftist thought bubble available, which is Hollywood.
So, let's talk about Jimmy Kimmel. And no, not in the usual late night, crack-a-joke kind of way. This is about something much bigger, his meltdown, his ongoing feud with Elon Musk, and why even Joe Rogan is now calling him out for being a hypocrite. The mask has slipped, and the double standards are too obvious to ignore. So buckle up, because this isn't just a story about late-night comedy anymore. It's about free speech, cancel culture, hypocrisy, and the slow collapse of a career that once thrived on comedy but now survives on cheap political digs. Let's rewind for a second. Jimmy Kimmel used to be the guy behind The Man Show. Remember that? It was wild, edgy, and unapologetic. Back then, he didn't care about politics or how Twitter mobs might react, he just went for the laugh. He was bold, outrageous, and completely unfiltered. Love him or hate him, that's what made him a star. That's why ABC handed him his own late-night show in the first place.
In that case, do you think that's him or a writer? Can't you tell?
Jimmy Kimmel?
Yeah.
No, it's him, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
good. That's a good one.
He's a comic.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, he used to host the Man Show. I mean, he's done some pretty outrageous shit.
Do you think that's him or one of his writers? You can tell, right? That's Jimmy Kimmel. Oh yeah, that's all him. He's a comic, after all. And don't forget, this is the same guy who once hosted The Man Show. He's done some truly outrageous stuff before.
That sort of self-censorship and the idea of being a more empathetic person is a good thing, right? But as long as it's reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, the problem with that kind of stuff is it continues to go in the same direction where more and more things become forbidden and toxic, to the point where, you know, the Elon Musk joking around about my pronouns are prosecute Fauci. Jimmy Kimmel made a tweet back to him. He said, your pronouns are ass and hole, which is pretty funny. But then
did he really?
Yes. And so then I read that, and there was people saying, please don't joke about pronouns. It's transphobic to joke about pronouns. So they were chiding him for participating in a joke about pronouns.
But here's the thing, the Jimmy Kimmel from 20 years ago would barely recognize the one we see today. The guy who used to roast everyone and everything has turned into someone chained to politics. Night after night, it's not jokes anymore, it's lectures. It's not punchlines, it's propaganda. He's gone from being a comedian to being a spokesperson for whatever the progressive talking point of the week is. And here's the irony, the very same crowd he's been trying to please has now turned on him. Take his little Twitter spat with Elon Musk. You probably remember the tweet where Musk said, my pronouns are prosecute/Fauci. Classic Elon, part troll, part sharp social commentary. Whether you loved it or hated it, it was clever in that meme-worthy way he's known for. Kimmel fired back with, your pronouns are asshole. Not bad, honestly. It was edgy, it was funny. But then, the backlash came. Suddenly, Kimmel's own fanbase accused him of being transphobic just for making a pronoun joke, even though the joke wasn't aimed at trans people at all. And that's the problem. Context doesn't matter to the outrage mob. Nuance doesn't matter. They only care about controlling what you're allowed to laugh at. And once you start feeding that beast, it never stops.
Elon is thought of as being, because he's willing to put people on with uncomfortable opinions, and he's releasing people that were banned from Twitter because of things that they had said. He's like, as long as you haven't done anything illegal, I'll let you back on.
No, yeah.
So he's doing a lot of that. And so it's a lot of people are upset by that, because then they think, well, you're platforming bigots and hateful people, and it's a weird conversation.
And this is where Joe Rogan comes in. Rogan, who has kind of become the referee in today's free speech debates, pointed out the obvious. Kimmel spent years mocking conservatives, mocking Trump supporters, mocking anyone who didn't go along with progressive politics. He cheered on the mob when it was tearing into his opponents. But now that same mob has turned its sights on him and suddenly, he's the victim? Rogan nailed it. You can't cheer on censorship for years, only to cry foul when it finally comes back to hit you. Free speech isn't something you get to pick and choose. Either it applies to everyone, or it doesn't. And Kimmel made his choice. He mocked free speech advocates like Musk, and now he's paying the price, but let's be real, Kimmel's obsession with Elon Musk goes deeper than one Twitter spat. From the start, he's taken shot after shot at Musk. And why? Because Musk dared to say something Hollywood hates: if you haven't broken the law, you shouldn't be banned from Twitter just for having an unpopular opinion. That was enough for Kimmel to make him a regular target in his monologues.
He's had a real problem with Elon from the beginning of this thing, but it's like he's in this leftist thought bubble. He is in the most leftist thought bubble available, which is Hollywood. And, and I think also, he famously, there's some videos of him in blackface, and those came out, and he had apologized for them, and I think he took that hit and, really doubled down in the other direction. I mean, that's just speculation. But he, now is a guy that goes after people like Elon Musk.
But here's the difference: Musk didn't cave. He doubled down. He brought banned voices back to Twitter and stood firm. Sure, the left lost its mind over it, but a lot of regular people respected him for it. They said, at least this guy actually believes in free speech. Meanwhile, Kimmel and the rest of the late-night hosts came off looking bitter, petty, and, frankly, jealous, and let's not forget Kimmel's own skeletons. This is the same guy who once did blackface skits. Remember those? When the clips resurfaced, he scrambled into damage control, apologizing, backpedaling, and going overboard to prove how woke he really was. Rogan has suggested that moment broke him. That after being exposed, he overcorrected, turning himself into a progressive crusader just to protect his career. And honestly, it makes sense. Ever since then, he's been on a mission to prove he's one of the good guys. Except now, even when he tries to play by the rules, his own side still tears him apart.
I'm a free speech believer. I think the way to counter someone's inappropriate, even someone like Kanye West that says ridiculous shit, anti-Semitic things, the way to counter that is to counter that with more thoughtful opinions on what he's saying and point out that what he's saying is inaccurate in many ways, hurtful in many ways. Point it out. Talk. Let's have discussion. Don't silence.
This brings us to the bigger picture: comedy itself. Both Rogan and Rob Schneider have said it: comedy is supposed to push boundaries. It's supposed to make people uncomfortable sometimes. That's the whole point. The way you deal with a bad joke, or even an offensive one, isn't by censoring comedians. It's by responding with sharper jokes, smarter criticism, or simply not laughing. That's free speech. But Hollywood doesn't want that. They've embraced censorship. And now we're seeing the results: comedy itself is suffocating.
Capitalist pressure. Capitalist pressure is really important because what happens is you have to make money, or you have to do something of value so that you can get something in return. Now, the interesting thing is, it's false advertising, because honestly, look, Jimmy Kimmel can be funny, and I don't mean to take anything away from that, but the fact of the matter, can you remember a political joke that went viral, what was something really funny of his? There was no attempt in humor at all in what he said. And as a matter of fact, it was a lie. Now, as you pointed to, Will, since the 1960s, you have to get a license to broadcast. This isn't Netflix, this isn't cable, this is broadcast TV.
I'll say it plainly: I believe in free speech. Even if someone says something offensive, like Kanye West did with his anti-Semitic remarks, the answer isn't to silence them. The answer is to call it out, debate it, and prove why it's wrong. That's how ideas get challenged. That's how real discussions happen. And now think about this: when was the last time a Jimmy Kimmel joke went viral because it was genuinely funny, not because it was political, not because it was controversial, but because it was actually hilarious? Can't remember, can you? That's because it hasn't happened in years. His jokes have turned into lectures, and no one tunes into late night for lectures. That's why his ratings are in freefall. Advertisers don't want to back him anymore. Sponsors are pulling out. And here's a shocking number: 246 local stations refused to air Kimmel after one of his smear jobs. That kind of rejection is almost unheard of in television. But that's where he is now. He's no longer just controversial, he's bad for business. And in TV, once advertisers walk away, the show is done.
Broadcast TV. And when you have broadcast TV, you have to, the airwaves are owned by the public. And to get that license, you have to be in the interest, like you said, of the public. And so that's why when there's a news van parked in the white zone, they don't get a ticket, because they are there to present news to inform the public in the public interest. So what happens is 25% originally was supposed to be the news to inform it, just to get that license. So when you absolutely lie to the public, then you are no longer in the public interest, like Jimmy Kimmel did the other night. Mislead and lie, and actually was something dangerous. So with the FCC chairman, he didn't say that he was going to pull the license. He was going to give them a warning and ask for an apology, if what I understood on the Benny Johnson show.
And that's exactly what's happening. Kimmel turned his late-night stage into a political soapbox, and instead of making people laugh, he's been preaching. Viewers don't want it. They don't trust it. And when you spend years mocking something as huge as the MAGA movement, which, like it or not, represents nearly half the country, you're not just telling jokes, you're alienating millions of people. That's not comedy. That's career suicide, and here's the cherry on top: the FCC. National TV shows need a license, and that license is supposed to serve the public interest. When you use your platform to smear, mislead, and push narratives that divide, you're not serving the public anymore. Regulators even have